Hello YouTube, I'm Pedro from the Wicked Cat team. Today, since a lot of you guys requested it, I'm going to show you how to create basic river on Unity 5. If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, and if you want more Unity 5 tutorials, remember to subscribe to our channel. Now, before we start, keep in mind that there are several tools in the Unity Asset Store that make this process easier. However, since we are talking about paid tools and probably most of you guys don't own these tools, I'm going to teach you how to do it from the scratch. Now, the first thing you need to do is to have a 3D mesh for the river you want to create. Now, I already have a mesh that I created with the shape I want here on 3ds Max. Now, you can use any 3D software you want for this, but I prefer 3ds Max, but you can use Maya and Blender. There are also good alternatives, so feel free to use the software you want. The only thing you need to keep in mind is that the software must be capable to export the model to FBX. So we have the river right here. It's just a plane, as you can see, and we want to export it. So on 3ds Max we just go to the file, export, and now we have it right here. Let's select river. I already have the river exported, but let's just export it again. Yes, I want to replace it. Okay, so now we have our river exported, our mesh, on a FBX file that you can see. Let me see where I have it. It should be somewhere around here. Here it is. River FBX. Okay, so moving back to Unity now. So I want to create a new scene. So file, new scene. Okay, so now we have an empty scene, and now I want to create a brand new terrain. So I go to game object, 3D object, and I select terrain. Okay, so now I have a terrain in my scene. Now, a very important thing before we move on is, with the terrain selected, we go to the, where it is, here it is, to the paint height tool, and you want to go to the settings, and on height you have to make sure the height is above 0. Why? Because you want to sculpt the river on the terrain and you want to lower the height on that area. Since the height of the terrain won't go lower than 0, you must make sure the height of the terrain is all flattened above 0. So we have 100 here, it's a good value, so let's just click here and flatten. Okay, so as you can see, the terrain was flattened to 0, to 100 I mean, and now we have a brand new terrain. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is to import the 3D model of the river. Before that, let's just before doing that, let's just go to the paint textures. Again, I'm using the example project, so the assets I'm going to use are already imported to the project. If you are using a new project, remember to go to assets, import package, and select environment. This will import all the assets I'm going to use on this tutorial, so just keep this in mind. Again, I'm going to go to the paint texture, add texture, just to add a nice texture so the terrain is not all white. Let's just see grass. Yeah, grass albedo looks fine. Let's click head, and now we have grass on our terrain. Yeah, we can move it a little further. Okay, so like I was saying, now the next thing you want to do is to import the 3D model you exported to the FBX file to Unity. So what we are going to do is to create a folder, and let's just call it river. And now we open this folder, and with the river fbx file right here, I just drag it to Unity, and here you have it. Now you have the river fbx file on Unity, and we can use it as a 3D model. So as you can see, we have the fbx file right here, and we have the materials. So the river did not have any material, so we can just delete this. Yes. Okay, so next you want to drag the river fbx to the scene. Here it is. And now we want to move to the top view. To do this, we have this cube right here. This is very useful for changing the views. You go here and you click on Y, and now you are seeing the terrain from the top. Okay, so with the river selected, let's just scale it, for example 50 and 50. I think this should work. Yeah, it seems like that. Let's just make it a little bit higher, for example 101, so we won't have that weird effect that we had. Like, okay, works fine. Wait, I don't want to go to ISO, I just want, yes, move here, and now we just, not this way, probably, yeah, this way. Okay, so we have the terrain right here. So the idea is to use this model as a dummy that is going to show us the area that we want to sculpt in the terrain. Okay, so leave it right here. Let's move again for the top view, and now we select the terrain. We go to range lower terrain. We select, can be this. Okay, let's just change the brush size for 60, perhaps 70. So yeah, I think it looks good. And now we are going to sculpt the terrain in order to create our river. Since you want to lower the terrain, we are going to press Shift while holding the mouse button. Again, if you are not familiar with the terrain tools, we just did several videos on the terrain, so remember to check them out before we move on. So this may be a little confusing for you if you don't know how to use the terrain, so remember to check those videos out. Now I'm going to just press the mouse button while I'm holding Shift, and I'm painting the terrain. So this should work fine. Now to see the final result, we just select here the river, and we go here and hide it. Okay, let's just move a little bit closer to see what we have here. I think this area needs to be a little bit deeper, so let's just select terrain, and let's dip this area a little bit more, like this. Yes. Let me see, just check that area over there, but I think it works fine. Yes, it's perfect. Okay, let's turn the river on again. So yeah, as you can see, let's just change the height, reduce it a little bit, so you can see how the river will look in the end. Okay, so this is how the river will look in the terrain. And now it's the fun part. We are going to add the water. So just forget about this river for a moment, and now we go to assets, we go to standard assets, and we go to environment. We select water, and water, and we go to prefab. So we are going to use the water probe for this tutorial. So this is a daytime scene, so water probe daytime, and just drag it to the terrain. So I'm just going to make this a little bit higher so you can see it. Now there is the interesting feature about water probe is that it uses a mesh to create the water, to create the shape of the water. Now right now, as you can see on the water mesh, on the water plane mesh, this is actually using a plane to create the mesh of the water. What we are going to do to create a river is to change the mesh that is used on this prefab. So instead of using the water plane mesh, we are going to use the mesh of the river. So this is actually very simple to do. And to do this, we just go to assets, we open the river, and now as you can see we have the FBX model right here, and we have this little arrow. So if you click here, this will open the components of the FBX file. Sorry, it seems like I can't speak right today. And we have several components. We have the plane 001, which is our mesh. We have the take 001, which default animation that 3ds Max exported, and we have the river avatar. So this is our mesh. Okay, so next thing, you want to select water probe daytime, and we are going to drag the plane 001 to the water mesh right here. And now the water has the shape of our plane. However, if you turn the river off, you can see the water. Why? Because it's not in place yet. So we need to copy the values from the river game object to the prefab. So I'm going to copy the position, place it right here for the Y value and for the Z value. Okay, yeah, so you can see it here. Next, you are going to see that we have a rotation of minus 90 degrees. So again, we go here, minus 90 degrees. And for the scale, we have 50, 51. We just use the same scale, 50, 50, and now we are going to use 1. Okay, so now we have the water in place. We can delete the river 3D object, and as you can see, we have a perfect river. Now let's just do some changes to the scene. Let's just configure the water. Okay, everything seems to be fine here. Let's receive shadows. Okay, and cast shadows on. And here on reflection probes, let's just change. Gosh, this is hard today. So like I'm saying, on reflection probes we have blend probes selected. Let's just change it to blend probes and skybox. Okay, now we are going to just change the texture of terrain under the river a little bit to give it a more realistic look. We just go again here to paint texture, and let's add a new texture. Let's just change, let's see if we have any sand here. Yes, we have sand albedo. Add, select this texture, and now let's just paint this on the river. So yeah, let's move a little bit closer. Let's just hide the water so you can see better. Yeah, so whoops, we want this one. And okay, I think we are done texturing. Now we can turn the water on again, and we have our river. Now One small detail that is probably better if you do this, we are going to change it to river, the name, okay, and now we are going to drag the river game object to here, and now we have a prefab for our river. Okay, now moving on closer again. Let me see if I can get a good area here, so for example, okay. And now I go to my main camera, you go to game objects and align with view so we can see the river, and on game view we press play. And here you have it, guys. This is how you create a basic river in Unity 5. Now again, remember there are several tools, like I said before, on the Unity Asset Store that will make this process easier. Some of the tools even allow you to create the river mesh inside Unity instead of using 3D software like 3ds Max or Maya. There are cheap tools there for creating rivers, so check them out. And this is it. I think we are done with water for now, so on the next video we are going to move to skies. Until then, and have a nice day.